You are listening to the B2B Marketing Mindset. We want to help demystify marketing to reduce risk, drive more and better opportunities, and grow your business.
Oh, that's right. That is our stated mission. I'm Pete Montfrey. This is episode 118 of the B2B Marketing Mindset. And we're broadcasting live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And then later, tomorrow, across the podcast universe. So I interview sales and marketing industry leaders, rogue disruptors, and people smarter than me to help businesses like yours make better decisions and not get hornswoggled by the Wild West that is the marketing industry. And today I'm talking to one of my favorite recurring guests, Louis Bernstein. He's a fractional sales manager for small and growing businesses. He's a top LinkedIn voice, and he bootstrapped his own company to make the Inc. 500 fastest growing list, I think. He'll correct me if I'm wrong on that. You know, we're going to be talking about the biggest mistakes made by people who sell expertise. So like coaches, consultants, professional witnesses, experts. Hang with us for a few minutes to see if you're making the same mistakes that we've made that cost us a lot of money and could be costing you a lot of money. But first, real quick, if you're seeing this video live, do us a big favor and hit like, comment, or share, and that tells LinkedIn to share the video further and wider. It's all about the algorithm, but it also helps me feel good about myself because I just want to be liked, honestly. So, but hey, Louis, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I got to take this music out or we'll make people crazy.
Okay.
Unless they're enjoying it. I don't know. I hope they're enjoying it. Hey, whoever just took that note away, I didn't read it. All right. So we might have a sync problem. Let me see. It's not on our end, so I'm going to think that's reload Restream, our non-syncing partner. And we'll get on with it here. So, you know, how are things in Louis land? Let's start with that. That's important.
It's all good. It's all good, Pete. I have no complaints. And I learned not to complain a long time ago because I realized nobody listens. So I just don't, I just don't even bother anymore. But yeah, it's good. I'm busy. I'm busy as I want to be anyway. So it's all good.
Well, there you go. Isn't that interesting? And the busy as I want to be. Oh, the music started again. I'm just pushing buttons left and right over here. But I'm glad to hear it. It's like I think you're one of our favorite guests, and I know that, we usually get good reactions. And I think this topic today is pretty important. And I was excited about it because I thought back. So just real briefly, I mean, my journey with sales was thinking that, well, what do? You just go sell, whatever that means in your head at that time, that's what you do. And I built a business doing it that way, right? Which I would call the old way, the traditional way, traditional sales, the barging in, all of the endless follow-up, all of the things that, and it did work. Like it worked enough to keep me doing it like a evil slot machine. And, but what it did is it tore me down, right? It burned me out. I wasn't in control of selling. And the other thing was trying to get used to the idea of selling my expertise, which by extension, me. Scary.
Yeah,
and so I thought we would just kind of talk about the most common things that we see and that maybe we've even experienced. And hopefully people can say, hey, that's something we need to work on. And contact Louis, contact me, contact whoever you want. So here's what I'm thinking though. So like I said, we all make mistakes, and I'll say I'm the proud originator of thousands of mistakes, right? And that's just last week. So don't feel bad if we hit on practices that might be costing you deals. We're trying to help, and these are the common things, right? But let's focus on companies that sell services, expertise. So these are intangible offers. Coincidentally, like you and I have been selling since the Dead Sea was just feeling sick. Who writes this? but a long time. All right, I'll say how long. The most common mistakes, we'll go for like a high level, and then we'll get more into tactical sales. So stay with us. We'll be about 40 minutes usually, or if we want to go longer, that's what we'll do because we can do anything we want. Um,
Perfect.
so what do you think about the idea? I'll kick it off, and feel free to ask me or clarify or whatever you want to do. Do a dance. It's up to you. But what do you think about this idea that anybody can sell? Like you just sell. What's wrong with you, kid? I gave you a phone book. Just get out there and sell. You're personable. You're a good bullshitter. Come on, that's what you need. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have seen it. And first, I'll say it's somewhat degrading
Hmm.
to the sales profession. It's basically saying this is not a profession. You don't really need to be have any intelligence to do this. So, to me, it's degrading and it's, callous, and I don't believe any of it. And I did see it happen a number of years ago, kind of early in my career. I was working for a large computer company, Digital Equipment Corporation, and there was a period in there, it was in the 80s. There was a period in there where they hit a rough patch and got into a recession. And they prided themselves on never laying anybody off. But this time kind of required them to lay off some people. But what they thought they would do, which was a smart thing, was rather than lay the people off in the distribution and manufacturing, so they don't have to lay anybody off, we'll just put you into sales, right? And if you want, we're going to move you to Atlanta, or we're going to put you in Colorado, and it's sales, right? No big deal. You can do it. So what if you've been sitting on an assembly line your whole life? Do sales. Of course, it flopped. The nobody. I didn't. At least in the Atlanta office where I was, nobody made it. Anyone they sent down there didn't make it, and they were so disgruntled. I mean, they wanted to stay with the company to keep the benefits, or maybe they liked the company, but they didn't want to be sellers, and they didn't have the skills to be sellers. And so yeah, I've seen that. It didn't work, and it doesn't work. And you think you're doing people a favor by doing something like that, and you're not.
No. And one thing you said there that really resonates with me is it's a big problem. People, they when they apply for a job and they get their job description, and a lot of them are purposefully not they're avoiding sales. So you're going to have a problem right out of the gate with a lot of people. But I think marketing, there's a parallel, and marketing has become a thing that you have your VA out in the Philippines set your strategy for your company, or you think that marketing is just SEO or
Yeah.
tactics or something like that. You're not, and that's I think an episode for a future date. We're talking about these internet influencers that are selling a dream of starting an agency, and uh, you got 14-year-old kids trying it now. Um, but yeah, I think I wasn't thinking about it from the standpoint of it degrades the entire industry, right? But it does. It dismisses what for many is a lifetime of learning. And then there's training, right? And then there's practice. I'm an adherent of Sandler sales. It's my favorite method. I've read everything. Been doing this a long time. I like Sandler. Um, but it's the training, which is ongoing, and the coaching and the ongoing support, just like a sales manager. Um, and then it's also practice. Like literally, we would make calls under the mindset we're just practicing. Who cares what happens on this call? But practicing, role playing, this kind of thing, and then experience, and those things come together, and it's a methodology. It isn't just I don't know what being personable. So I think that's a mistake. Don't underestimate. I mean, what about psychology in sales? What about neuro linguistic programming? What about negative reverse selling? What about now, if you don't know what any of that stuff means, yeah, might be more to sales than you think. Um, that wasn't fair, was it? There's just so many parts to
True.
selling
Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah. And I think that, that burnout factor is really a lot of confusion. And when
Right.
you're confused all the time, you're not sure what to do next, or if what you're doing isn't constantly working, you start to burn, and it's just not a good thing. And so the key is to be organized and have a system.
And have a
Uh,
system, right?
yeah, daily habits which you chain together to make a process, and then you take your processes for different areas and then aspects of selling, and you chain those together, and it becomes your system. So you don't wake up every day thinking, what do I do today? Or how do I approach this? You have a system. And I think not having a system, even if it's your own, even outside of the company, the founder and the VP sales or whoever it is, developing the system that they want you to follow, having your own system will serve you well at that position and any future positions you have. And I've always been, and that my new system, that's what it does. I mean, because I know how important it is.
Yeah, and in fact, back in the day, so we started our company in 1990, fresh out of college. I mean, we had a technical skill, but we didn't understand how to run a business. We didn't understand sales. We did get lucky a few times at the beginning, right?
Sure.
Then I had an idea of what sales was in my head, right? And I'm not a dummy. I read a bunch of books. I mean, I read all the usual books. Zig Ziglar. I read. Um, there was one called executive selling. There was one
Yeah.
selling to high ticket clients, I believe. There's all these different sort of methodologies, and I wasn't aware of a methodology like having one and how important it was. I didn't think that's not how I understood sales to be. It was a personality type more than it was like a profession. And the weird thing is that what the behaviors I was doing were working, right? We built by all measures, a successful company. And but the other side of it's kind of hidden. And I hope, if somebody's experiencing this out there and you're feeling this, even if you're not hiring anybody, give us a call. But, you hit a level of depression, you hit it that traditional lifestyle, you could succeed, but your life's going to be hard and it's going to be a mess because one, it's not very efficient. I'll give you an example. Following up with people who are never going to buy because I wasn't qualifying them enough. I wasn't giving them permission to disqualify themselves. And I wasn't really disqualifying them early enough. I was running on hopium. So I'm following up. Hey, you mind if I call you 11 o'clock at night? I'm there with my 1-year-old. Sure, Mr. Client, sir. I'll do anything. Now, being the old grouchy man that I am, it seems like the more difficult I am, the more I'm valued and the better things go. Rather than accommodating. And maybe that's another mistake, being, just thinking you have to do anything the prospect says or asks for, or
Yeah.
the
When
customer's
I
always right, Louis.
No, they're not always right, but they're always the customer.
Ah,
Yeah. So, when I coach salespeople, I talk about this a lot, where they're willing to do anything to please the prospect in hopes of getting the sale. And I call them errand boys or errand girls, because that's what they are. The prospect, most customers don't go to work every day looking for a confrontation. They just want to go there, get their job done. If something pops up that can help them, help the company, not endanger their job, which is the most important part of a sale when you're selling to people at companies. What's primarily on their mind, it's not about the features of your product. It's not any of that stuff. They want to make sure that they don't make a mistake and that when they show up the next day, that there's not somebody else sitting in their chair. And if you don't understand that going in, then you're at a real disadvantage. But back to your original point, too many salespeople don't see themselves as equals to the people they're selling to.
right.
And they have a hard time drawing that line in the sand where, okay, I'm going to do that for you, or I'll go find that out for you. Is that what you need to move ahead? Instead, they'll just say, oh, sure, I'll do that. And off they go, run their little errands. And the guy comes back and says, yeah, there's one other thing. And oh, by the way, I have to talk to.
Right.
to your point about qualifying earlier, yeah,
Yeah, there's the board has to be. There's all something that is going that now look, sometimes that stuff happens, but sometimes the buyer is just trying to work you for information. They're misrepresenting that they're actually in a buying process. There's so many things going on there. We could do a whole series on qualifying. Oh, maybe we should. But these are so easy to make. These mistakes are so easy to make because sometimes you're kind of like so close to your own business, or you're so excited about your business or what you do, and maybe you're really good at it too, and you want to do it for people, you want to help people, you want to be helpful, and we're raised like this, like it's literally programmed into us. But sales is a business transaction, and so I think you got to treat it like that. And we're talking about having a methodology. Your buyer has a methodology. If you go into that arena without one, you are going to be at a disadvantage. And I don't mean to say, it's us against them. It's not like that. It's just that there are buyers who have gone to school for buying. Did you know that? I didn't know that many years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
And then all of us kind of do that same defensive type thing like instinctively. So there's something going, there's a process going on with the buyer, whether they know it or not. But if your process looks like I'm going to make 800 phone calls, and if I make that many calls, somebody's bound to buy something because it's a numbers game, right? These are things you hear all of the time. They're completely not true unless you want to kill yourself and have a heart attack at age 27.
right.
Okay,
Well,
so I could rant all day. I don't mean to rant.
no, it's okay. I mean, 800 phone calls, 800 times saying the wrong thing is zero.
It could be zero. Yeah,
Right.
you
I
know
mean,
what?
you
It,
have to,
it doesn't really work out the way they say it does.
well, you've got to make the calls. The calls are important, but they don't mean anything unless you're saying the right thing to the right person at the right
The right
time.
time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
And
yeah,
that's very basic, right? So a lot of the answers to the things we're talking about today, that turns out they're kind of basic,
yeah.
but they require discipline. What's your
Mhm.
take on discipline versus habit?
Um, I think they go kind of hand in hand, don't they? I mean, I always read, and I agree with this. The successful people are the ones who are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. The day after day, work the process every day throughout the year. And if it's a good process, trust the process, review your results, tweak it as you go along, and make sure it's optimal. And then the discipline is sticking with it. And if you stick with it long enough, they become habits and good habits, hopefully. They can become bad habits if you're not doing it right. So it's like, playing guitar. If you're practicing and you're practicing the thing the wrong way, you do yourself more damage. You're better
Right?
off slowing it down, practicing it slowly, and then building up the speed because your brain will remember your last session. And so if it remembers you're doing it incorrectly, that's what's going to come out in the next time.
Well, long time ago, I was a guitar teacher for up to about 50 students a week. Thank you, kids, for helping me get through college. Uh, the and the hardest thing is unlearning something, right?
Right.
And so I think that's really an important idea. And so these ideas are so persistent, though. I mean, it almost they could become programmed into us. I mean, we have all this. Sandler would call it head trash. And so some of these are beliefs that we really believe to our core that aren't necessarily the case. And the grind mentality, what's now called the hustle mentality. It isn't about doing more, it's doing it smart. It's doing it as a system. And my sales trainer, who's no longer with us anymore, and I miss her greatly, but she was brilliant. And she said, it takes a lot of discipline to get things done at first. And discipline is exhausting. And so it's hard, right? But if you keep that discipline up for a period of time, it will turn into habit. Habits take very little energy to do. And if you're doing the behaviors that lead to success, you're going to get there. It isn't about any one meeting, one call, one thing, one misstep, one deal. It's so hard to explain. It's about the process itself, is it not?
But yes, I think it is about the process. I think part of it, I mean, I think you probably more well versed in marketing on this than me, but isn't it something like people don't even remember you till you hit them with a messaging of some type for 12 times or 15 times? And because especially now when
Now,
there's
maybe
so
50, right? I don't know. It's a
right,
lot.
yeah. I mean, there's so much flying at everybody, and now with AI generated uh, uh, outreach. It's easy, and so people just pour on the volume, and it's more difficult to get your message across to the right people. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with you. Yeah, the
Well,
discipline is hard.
we talk about fragmentation. You're big, you're a top voice on LinkedIn. I mean, that's a great microcosm of it. There's a lot of noise, right? How do you get through the noise? In my world, be more relevant. If you sell expertise, share your expertise
Oh yeah,
widely for free. That's what we're doing right
right.
now, actually. We're hoping that somebody learns something from this. But could you stand by just for a moment? And I need to do a little bit of business for the program, if I can recall how to do it. Uh, so the program is brought to you by the Agency Founders Network. And what this is, it's a private online community of sales and marketing founders who sell their expertise. It's a place to connect, grow, and partner with people who are walking in your shoes because, running a business is a lonely job. So you can join now for free. There's no credit card required at agencyfoundersnetwork.com and give and receive a wealth of knowledge there. And we used to have a very cool graphic. I don't know where it is. There it is. Hey, uh, you take a few weeks off, and this is what happens, Louis. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
we love the Agency Founders Network. It is lonely, and if you're struggling with something, I mean, if you own a business, who do you talk to? You don't want to. Your wife's only going to take so much of that,
Yeah.
right? Your employees, they're not gonna go for that. So, what a great place! I know Louis there gives advice, posts videos. We appreciate you. I believe you're at the top of the leaderboard still, so he's crushing it there. But anyway, on to the subject at hand. So, I'm trying to think. So, what else do you see that's a pretty common thing in your world?
Mistakes or things that people are doing right.
Just well, let's talk. Let's flip it and talk about what
Yeah,
what people doing right. Love
right.
that.
Yeah, well, the I believe in give to get. To your previous point about sharing things for free, and what I see the most successful people doing, like on LinkedIn and YouTube's a little different, but on LinkedIn anyways, is they share their expertise for free. Um, and they're not worried about people taking advantage of them or they're gonna not get a sale because they're giving away their knowledge. It doesn't work like that. More than a few times I've had people just come out of the blue and reach out to me and say, "Look, you don't know me. I've never liked or commented on any of your posts or videos, but I think I know you. And based on what I've heard, I think you can help us." And so, in most businesses and sale, where you're doing services, coaching, marketing services, what you do, it's all in the execution. Well, what you're telling me is great. Do that for me, you know. And
Right.
so, to the people who I think are doing it correctly, are the people who are sharing their expertise and not worrying about what will come of it, because really only good comes of it. And
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, it seems like it wasn't much of an evergreen platform, meaning content didn't hang around as long, but it's starting to seem that way, at least as I do the analysis on my posts. It stays a little longer, and some people that you didn't even realize were looking at it are looking at it. So that's what I would say to do right. And not only give it away free, but focus your attention on the people who are capable of buying from you. I also use the Sales Navigator, where it gives you a great way to filter down to your potential prospect. I mean, you never know exactly for sure, but you do your best job at getting down to your ideal customer profile. And if
Right.
you're connecting with them, especially at a first level connection, the odds are much better that when you do post something, that they'll see it, right? And
Right.
so,
A lot of people don't understand the connection between, um, well, they don't understand what Navigator really is, because one thing I hear a lot is, should I get it?
mhm,
Well, if you want to be able to, in a granular way, target people, then yes, because all it is really a lot more search
right,
fields. How brilliant
right,
of them! It has some list functionality, not great in my opinion, but it's good. It works. The other thing that I love about it is once you've identified a cohort of people that maybe fit your profile, you can now very efficiently interact with their content, right?
right,
And then that's going to
right.
pop you up in their notifications and on their
Right.
phone. And after some time, like, don't do this, okay? Don't send them a message that's like, "Hi, I'm John Smith. We do this. People think we're awesome. We're so friggin' awesome. You wouldn't believe it. Hey, how about a call, man? How about next Tuesday, 2 o'clock?" Don't do that, please. I got another one here that I printed out right before the program because I knew you were on. This is an email. Okay, I'm not going to say who it's from, but it's a cold email, and it has a quote. It says, "Quote: It's really helpful to see the health of the business from a monetary perspective. These are the things I can make judgments off of." But it doesn't have anyone attributing that poor grammar quote. And then it says Eric Hinson of Explainify. I may have said the name there. Stated about working with us. Oh, I see. So it's just formatted kind of weird. So apparently that's a testimonial or something. And then it says, why I got my start at 21, turning around a struggling business. Then I honed my skills getting my MBA. And as a CFO, I still own multiple businesses and design the service for my own companies first. What's wrong with that?
Just take out the word why, well, yeah, and replace it with you get.
I
That's all
guess. I
you,
mean, and
that's all you got to do.
I
It's
had
talking
trouble
about,
reading it even. I'd also say learn
yeah.
how to write. But
Was this,
it's all about them. I mean, this I
right,
get 50 of these a day. All
sure.
about me, 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 me. Here's what I want. I'm expanding
Yeah,
my network. Oh,
yeah,
great. I'm
yeah,
so
yeah,
proud of you.
yeah. I don't, to be honest, I don't even accept many connection requests anymore. If they don't fit my ICP, because as I mentioned earlier, I think the algorithm kind of will show more to your first level connections, and you want those the people that
Yeah.
you want to be connected with. But what you described there is what they call pitch slap, where
Ah,
someone says, "I'd like to connect with you," and in your weakest moments, you accept it, and then 15 minutes later, you'll get something like what you just read, and they call it a pitch slap, and that's how you feel, like you've been pitched and slapped, and so, who needs it? Um, and so I just, just stay away from that stuff. One other thing that you mentioned about the navigator and the filters and interacting, one of the more useful things that I found in Sales Navigator. I think there's a lot of good uses of it. And I actually just wrote an article for them. But if you can have different lead lists in there, because I think you can only put, well, I think you can have 10,000 total leads, but you can have different lead lists. And so you can go list by list. And then when you go to your homepage, you could pick that particular list and then also click on lead shares. So you could see what your ideal customers are talking about. And then you can make comments that hopefully add value to their perspective or say, thanks for, I didn't know that or doing it. But you can very strategically interact with potential customers. And that's a good use of time as well. So they see you there, then they see you in the feed, on their normal feed. And so you're kind of everywhere and you're showing how you can help them because that's
yeah.
all people want. They want someone to
Well,
help them.
you're leaving something of value. And let's say what's not of value. Now, they're primarily women influencers. They've made their way from Instagram to LinkedIn. And you'll notice something really interesting. First of all, the posts are generally fairly banal. My friend Pete, my name is Pete also, yes, but my friend Pete sends me these posts and I'm like, what is going on? What planet are we on? But they're so the posts themselves are pretty vapid, but the thing I noticed the most is the comments don't quite make sense, or they're very, very superficial. Hey, that's a great point. AI, thirsty people from other countries.
Right.
So that's not really that useful in terms of engagement. It sure looks impressive, right? But if you're doing these other things where you're not just saying, you're not, now we do this too, right? You and I both. We put content out there, we support it, but when somebody comments, we're just not like right on, or if we see something that maybe there's somebody's that we want to get in our funnel or they're in our funnel, man, I'll put the time in to come up with something that actually helps them. And I'm
Yeah.
not asking for a thing. And I don't think right now AI just can't do it. I think there's a lot of just autopilot AI. AI is super useful, but autopilot AI not as much, because I think people can see it. I can spot it. Is it just me?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
all
no,
right.
absolutely. Absolutely. And people are sick of it.
Well, they sure are. And a lot of younger people that are coming into the business now, and this is starting to bleed over to clients, is they think everything's super easy now. Why? AI. What are you talking about? This AI, it goes back to our point about salespeople should just be able to sell like out of the womb. Why? Because AI. At least we have an answer for it now. This is not a new idea. Um,
You know, everybody's, everybody, not everybody, people want shortcuts. And there are no
yes.
shortcuts to building good relationships. I actually watched a video of someone yesterday, a LinkedIn expert who has an automation thing to help you send, and I kid you not, 5 million DMs out to people, and he uses AI and he scrapes LinkedIn, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Not only that, in November, LinkedIn updated its terms and conditions. If they find any automation in your outreach or in you're out. They could ban you from doing it.
Yep.
And here's
They
these
find it.
people they're giving advice. Back to your other point about the influencers who come on there, and it's always a selfie of them in the
It
post.
is.
Yeah, I know.
They're
I
always
know.
posed a certain way. I mean, it's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah, it's weird. And it's Instagrammy and I don't get it. But 9 out of 10 times, all their posts and their masterclass on LinkedIn is teaching people how to get impressions because you got impressions. So buy my course and then you'll get impressions and then you could be a master and sell your course to teach someone else how to get impressions. It's like the LinkedIn multi-level marketing thing, and there's that aspect of it. And I try to
It's
steer
like those
clear
Russian
of
cupping dolls.
that.
But and here's the thing, though. I would imagine their workshops, like part one is lip filler, part two is posing. I mean, it's weird, and I'm not making fun of them because they're women. I know a lot of brilliant women, but these aren't it. Um, but and there's a bigger picture there with all the courses and things. I've full disclosure, we're developing some coursework that's 4 sessions over 60 days with homework, but in order to do this, we looked at what's out there. And my first thought after viewing about 20 of them was, these are about a quarter of an inch deep. I mean, this is like, where is this from, right?
Yeah.
We've been spending a month probably developing our curriculum for this program. And, we're charging appropriately for it, but it's great knowledge and it's an actual course. I used to teach at University of Wisconsin. Like, I know how to do coursework and curriculum and this kind of thing. And now I know how to talk to a camera, so we're almost there. But that's going on a lot out there where there's no depth. It's just like this false influencer culture, and the courses follow. I'd be really careful with buying courses these days.
Right. That's
You
why I had to
know,
give mine away.
I know, and man, I'm a big fan of all your content. And when you talk about relationships, you and I have been getting to know each other now for a while. You know stuff about me I'd never tell anybody else. It's great. We watch for opportunities for each other, and we contribute. And I appreciate you being on the program. It means a lot to me. And of course, it'd be on again. But I think that's at the end of the day, the biggest mistake is we're almost out of time here. But I'm just thinking, if I were to look at everything from the 50,000 foot level, it's this idea that selling is just transactional. It's always
Yeah.
quid pro quo. And it really isn't. It can actually, the most successful people I know are also the most generous with their time, which seems like it wouldn't go together, right? They're generous with, not necessarily with their time, let me be more clear, with their knowledge, right?
Right.
Might be hard to get a meeting with them sometimes, but
Right.
boy, are they generous with their knowledge. And it's all about the relationship to them. It's about a mutual value exchange, but it isn't accepted. Like if I do something for you, let's say I refer some business to you, you make a great deal from it, right? I don't expect a thing for that. It's not a quid pro quo. It's like, hey, I'm putting a nickel in the karma bank there, nickel here, nickel there, nickel here, nickel there, nickel there. None of those people directly may ever do anything for me, but somehow in that big karma bank,
Yeah.
quarters fall out of it. I don't know,
Yeah.
sometimes I know where they come from, sometimes not. But that's the theory, I think. And if you're really focused on bringing value, solving problems, and you get your language clear, and I think this is where Louis can really help. So there's methodology, then there's language, and then there's psychology and how to, what do they say about there's only two ways to get a man to do what you want them to do? One is to inspire them, and the other is to force them. And I almost think the traditional way of selling, the 50s way, right, where you're beating the doors down and you're shoving your stuff, it's like meeting someone in a bar and just stuffing your tongue right down their throat. That's what these people are doing. It's just a different world now. Maybe it worked for the Fuller brush salesman, right? But you're not selling Fuller brushes, people. You're selling solutions to problems. And if you can't solve a problem or articulate it, and I struggle with this, we're going to talk about it after the show. It's very hard to get through a sales process and close it. It's just hard. I don't know any other way to put it. It's going to fall apart probably because you're not communicating it. Like that's one thing I think people with expertise. I know a lot of engineers that really struggle with putting it in language that resonates with prospects.
Right.
That's a big part of it, isn't it?
Well, it is, but in fairness to them, I always get the question: Are there naturally born salespeople? And I have to say, 75% are, because if you're going to do it through your career, you've got to be comfortable in it. It's got to come kind of naturally to you. You don't have to force it. There's 25% that it's left brain, right brain stuff. I mean, I could never be a finance major. I'm horrible with math, right? That's just the way it is, right? And so everybody needs to find a place where they can succeed, and that's okay. Having run a business, you run a business for a long time, and you've had to let people go for whatever the reasons are, but hopefully you have the attitude of you're releasing them to go find something where they can be successful, because that's what everybody wants, and that's what you want for them, is to be successful. It may not be with you, and it may not be with what they're doing, but if you're giving enough, and if you're useful enough to enough people, like you say, the quarters will come back, the karma will come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least it has for me.
And so from a marketing standpoint, we'll kind of almost out of time here, but to me, that language is really how you, it isn't, if you're selling correctly, you're talking 20% of the time, you're listening 80% of the time. So it really isn't about a pitch at all. It's about asking the right questions, understanding, and then being able to connect that in a way that communicates value. There's a real art to that. And sometimes it takes some training and takes some practice. It takes some experience to get that right. So it isn't just a mechanical thing. It really is something. And I think about it a lot analogous to guitar playing, because I play with some absolutely brilliant guitar players. And I'm in that 25% that is not naturally gifted, because I can see it. Like, holy cow. Right.
Yeah.
And I'll also just plug my music on the program. All the music you hear on the program is original, and it is by my boys. And so we have lots of recordings, but everybody's a great player, and we just let the players do what the best players do. We get the right people in the right seats, and we let them do their thing.
Right.
And all of these things, there's so many parallels. I think it's amazing. So we'll have to, we'll next time what we'll do is we'll find parallels between guitar playing and sales. I don't think it'll be that hard.
No, not at all.
There's the don't give up aspect.
Right. There's no give up aspect. And there's the other aspect between them where if I'm playing guitar, I'm not worrying about anything else. You give yourself a mental break. When you're playing music, even if it's piano, whatever, if you're really into it, you're not worrying about your pipeline.
You're checked out. That's the state of flow. I love that when it happens. A lot of times after a show, I won't even remember a moment of the show. Like people will reference the song, hey, you guys played whatever. I wasn't there. I don't know who that was, but they were awesome. No, I don't know who. All those mistakes. That was not me. That was someone else. Anyway, I appreciate you, sir. We're gonna go to our. If you can hang around just for a second while we wrap up the show, and I'll see you in just 2 minutes.
Can I plug my new system?
Mindset. Add to the conversation.
Oh, wait. Yes, now you can.
Oh, good.
I forgot.
No, that's okay. You talk about giving away things for free. I'm at the stage in my career, as I mentioned earlier, with who I want, when I want, and I'm in the mode of just giving out there. I've learned so much. I mean, I'll be 73 in less than 2 months, and I have learned so much over the years, and now it's time to give it out. So I took a lot of what I learned, and I put it together into a system. I call it the CEO's Sales System, because that's who I help, CEOs, founders of small businesses. And it's it's 20 steps. There's 20 videos. I'm adding more steps, and it's got downloads, templates, all the things to put that process together. And it's free. I don't charge a nickel for it. If you want my help implementing or something, there's a thing at the end. You can buy it, but there's no credit card. None of that stuff's required. And so if you're interested, if if you're a founder or someone in that position, it's louisbernstein.com/CEO. And,
we'll toss a link down in the comments. And so highly recommend you talk to Louis. And we're over and out until next time. Nice plug. Good job.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, thanks.
You've been listening to the B2B Marketing Mindset.
What the hell,
Add to the
right?
conversation by commenting, sharing, and liking. And don't forget to subscribe and check out the links in the comments. Learn more at b2bmarketingmindset.com.